Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California. It is 21 May 21. So it's bound to be a lucky day. And it's also the start of Gemini, for those of you who follow that. And I'm a Gemini, so I'm looking forward to new energy and money flowing.
Ooh, yeah.
So our special guest today is Dr. Natalie Forest, who has written many books and given many speeches, and she also is involved in many activities simultaneously. Hello and welcome, Dr. Forest.
Thank you so much for having me back, Ed. It's always such a pleasure to be with you and Paul in the background.
Producer Paul, yeah, thank you. So Dr. Natalie, you just spoke at the LA Tribune, Los Angeles Tribune talk show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a standing ovation?
No, I don't get those because we're all sitting behind our cameras.
Work from anywhere has some problems, right?
That's a game right now. But I did get not a standing ovation, but almost a standing ovation yesterday when I gave a talk to an HR chapter in Lagos. That was a wonderful experience.
Wow.
They were so interested in and had really good questions. I love that interaction. To me, that's a sign of the benefits of the aftermath of COVID, I guess, that we're used to connecting this way now.
Interesting. I got in the last week not one, but two LinkedIn requests to link up from people from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was in cross-cultural training of some kind.
Okay.
And the other one was in HR, but I forget what. I think it was an oil company, but I didn't recognize the name. Pipeline or something.
Okay.
Interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So working from home, some brainiacs are calling working from home distributed workforce. That means your workers they're not here, but they're out there. I mean, everybody's working. So that's the power of telecommunications, right? The internet and Zoom, which means you can have somebody working for you either on a project or as an employee working in Lagos and Cape Town, Tel Aviv, and Cairo, not to mention Baltimore. So how do people handle all this stuff? Isn't there? I mean, some people roll with the punches and deal with it, but a lot of people, they get nervous. They don't want to put a clean shirt on. They don't want to shave.
Yeah.
So, but there's somebody out there watching that's going to determine their happiness and fate.
I think it's one of those things where it's really somewhat individualized. And I'm not trying to evade the question, but on the one hand, for a mom, it can be really, really great to be at home, right? Or if you have pets, because before COVID, there were ideas and movements to say, well, bring your pet to work so you don't worry about what the pet is doing. You know, you can take a walk with the pet, it'll calm you down, relieve your stress. So on the one hand, that makes it easier. However, there are also a lot of distractions. And you know, you've got a lot of distractions, whether your child is homeschooled, whether while you're sitting at the desk, you're realizing that, you know, you need to take something out the freezer for dinner, or the phone rings and it's your mom who would never call you at work. So there are more distractions. The other thing is, and I believe I briefly mentioned to you, I haven't read the whole study, but NBC also just did a study on our youth. And, you know, the youth meaning the ones who are in college, and especially young women. So there, and it transfers to you and I, because when you get a task and your distributed workforce, right, you may not be 100% clear on what that task is. You may be used to having that team meeting Monday mornings where everything is discussed, and then you go over, if you have a question, to the next cubicle or something like that and ask. Well, now that's a little different. So when you now do the task, you're maybe more concerned with, well, should I call? Should I not call? I can't just walk over. The whole idea of us really needing a little bit of exposure and social mixing, even if we may not like our colleagues, but you know, you're not alone. You're not a hermit. So there are all these different stressors. You still have deadlines. And I think what is also crucial, and it was obvious yesterday in a meeting that I had, but I see it all the time, internet connectivity. So we may be distributed. However, not everybody has stable internet.
Right.
I mean, normally mine is very stable. I've got a good company, but if they were to work right now up the street, I could be gone like that. So there are all these issues that we haven't really worked out to continue this, whether it's on the psychological level that people really need the interaction, or whether it's just on the technological idea of, does everybody have internet connectivity that's reliable? What do you do if it breaks down? Does everybody have a webcam? All of those things now get more complicated.
So, and some people are afraid, or they're not, or maybe not afraid, but strive to not look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because somebody will remember something that I would say wrong,
Right.
you know, have a brain freeze and not figure things out that others figure out, and then all of a sudden they get more money than me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boy, I get pissed. So, what about me? You know, so, but you, as you say, you're just not down the hall or across the room, or upstairs or downstairs, and you got to bother people. You got to intrude on whatever they're thinking about, and some managers are beautiful people, and others are not. Yeah, we got to deal with it.
Well, I think that's the crucial difference, right? Is the person who is your supervisor a manager, or are they a leader?
Mhm.
You may have the title of manager, and most managers are much more task focused. And that's how we've been trained, right? It's not, but I mean, they have to deliver certain finished tasks to their higher up. So managers, and I think we've come to understand that in the leadership conversation, that managers handle tasks. That's why we talk in not so positive ways about human capital. To me, that's a very demeaning word, capital. I'm not capital, I'm a person. A leader, on the other hand, manages and leads at the same time. That means they build trust. They know the people they work with. And so that is a shift that began to happen a little before COVID, but that's really the difference right now. If you have a leader and they have successfully built a team in which every person matters, then the fear of looking stupid is really minuscule, because you've done the appreciative inquiry, you've gotten to know each other, you know everybody's strengths and weaknesses, they know each other, they have each other's back because they trust each other.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic, because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them, because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Define appreciative inquiry.
That is a training method in which we go into companies, and instead of saying, the regular assessments that we get, did you like this 1 to 10? And if you didn't like it, you say no, 0. It's more, the regular approach is more on the negative side. Appreciative inquiry means you go in and say, what do you want more of? Let's not talk about what you don't have, because that is negative energy. And then there's a whole process that we go with, but it's really about, what do you want more of? Let's focus on the positive. And that way you bring more people into to discuss what would they like to see more. And it gives you the opportunity to explain why something can't happen. Thank you, Paul. Why something can't happen, right? So
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Paul,
Yeah.
could you please enlarge that graphic?
It's a beautiful graphic. Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So appreciative inquiry, that was Dr. David Cooperrider or something. Yeah.
Yes.
So he spoke at a meeting in London that I produced last
Awesome.
century.
Yeah.
And we've done a couple of interviews, radio show interviews. And interestingly, his name has popped up, or the practice has become more widespread just recently. I'm seeing it referred to on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And for years, there's been zero mention of that. So now you're mentioning it. And I'd be very happy to reach out to Dr. Cooperrider again and invite him back. I don't know whether he'll want to do it, but once again, it's focusing in on positive energy and focusing in on can do,
Mhm.
and maybe a team spirit.
Absolutely. And that honesty and vulnerability of explaining why something can't happen, right? Appreciative inquiry was pretty big a number of years ago when I got trained in it. And then it sort of ebbed down because everybody was going by the norm. It's working, let's just keep doing it. And I think COVID has sort of been the reawakening of, no, let's figure out how to make this work. And so that is absolutely the team spirit. It is me being able to call you because you're on my team and say, my internet just broke. Can you send this forward from the Dropbox, right? Versus me worrying about looking silly, looking stupid, because we're all working on something together. And that's the other piece. Once you start with appreciative inquiry, you also need to look at how you communicate things. And it always needs to be focused on a common definition. And in appreciative inquiry, of course, that's the topic, or what do you want more of? But the idea is, do we all have the same goal? You need to set that first, and then you can walk around and do that. And so I think in that sense, COVID has given us a chance to really humanize the workplace.
Boy, that's good. How do people, in your view, are you counseling people about going back to the office and being out in groups again?
I don't. Personally, I don't. I think that's more of a personal thing, whether they want to or not. But at the same time, when I talk with people, we have now been wearing masks for a year. And people feel almost naked when they have to take it off. It's like, no, you can take the mask off. I mean, especially the kids. For them, a mask now is normal, right? And let's not forget that in some countries, they've been wearing masks in public transportation for years. But in the US is now, we're so used to the mask. And in some ways, the mask also helped us hide, right? A lot of women didn't put up makeup anymore because the makeup is going to end up in the mask. Why bother? No lipstick, nothing, right? And that hurts the self-esteem as well, right? Because women don't just dress up for the guys. We sometimes just dress up for ourselves. Right. You mentioned earlier, you don't even want to shave or something like that if you can stay at home the whole time. So there is a certain fear, number one, of, well, they're saying don't wear masks in this kind of environment with the social distancing if everybody is vaccinated. But then you're not allowed to ask if somebody's vaccinated.
Why aren't you allowed?
Well, I mean, I think as a company, unless you make it a company policy, right? I can ask my colleague and say, are you vaccinated? But I can't make them get vaccinated. So then again, I have to figure it out. I am not sure what the legalities are in regards to a company mandating that, because I believe there was just a court case about it. It's almost like religious beliefs. So you cannot mandate somebody. And how do you deal with that? So there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of rethinking and feeling naked. Wow, no mask. How do I deal with that?
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we are researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So this is a really interesting and tough thing, because I wouldn't feel safe going into a crowded area and trusting people. Like, for instance, and this is just personal, a friend of ours, of me and Joanne, said, "Hey, May 29, the Beach Boys are back from the dead," or and they're going to play a live
Yay!
a live concert at Petco Park, which is 10 blocks down the street here. And so why don't we go? You know, we've been there several times, Billy Joel and, you know, somebody else singing, and there was thousands of people there in a ballpark, right? And because it holds 45,000. And Paul McCartney, we saw Paul McCartney there too.
Wow. Didn't you post about that on LinkedIn? Didn't you share a picture of that?
Yeah, I probably did at the time. It's a long time ago now. It's more than 2 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, so I said I don't want to go. So it's a little pricey. It's $100, and it's sitting far away. You know, that in itself it bothers me. But the being around all those people, I'm not doing that. It's too soon.
Yeah.
But I will get on a plane. I'll go to Hawaii, or I'll go to Mexico, or and I'll go into a restaurant, you know, a bar scene. We just did that yesterday. No problem. But to be around so many people in a concentrated area, well, because most people have been vaccinated at least once, but not everybody, and they're not making it a law that you have to show your QR code of the Vax card, you know, that kind of thing. But that's coming. There's a couple of companies, tech companies, working on that. But there's legal issues and social issues, because there are companies that say, if you're not vaccinated and then don't come in the office.
Right.
Period. And that is what's needed. There needs to be more companies saying it's not safe. Our company believes in preparation and taking care of the general good. It's in our culture, blah, 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 you know. And so it's better to get vaccinated or have some other means of protection that is acceptable to your colleagues. And you can work from home. It's very okay. You won't get penalized. But everybody else who's been vaccinated is going to be in the office on a rotating hybrid kind of a basis, right? That's what seems to be happening, opening up, but every company's different. So how can people deal with this issue of trust? Whereas before, they never gave it another thought.
Right. Well, I think it's multifaceted, right? On the one hand, it's trust. On the other hand, it's personal beliefs. And then it's also culture. Okay. So if you did not create a trusting environment at your workplace, you're going to run into a lot of issues. And as the company, you have to then balance. Number one, you're now getting the big awakening that, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. Now I'm in a situation where half my people are coming back, the other half is not, I probably need to provide some kind of counseling EPA programs to everybody, because everybody is somewhat afraid or lost people during the pandemic. But how do I deal with those people that have not been vaccinated? Can I mandate anything? And I think that's what, and really, I'm talking specifically United States, because other countries are doing things differently. That's where the culture comes in. But in the United States, you always have to worry about getting sued, right? So you cannot make me get vaccinated. You cannot tell me I'm not allowed in the office. That's where my materials are, unless you give me money for the printer and all of that. So all of those things are now on companies to decide. If they had created that trusting environment, like some have, then it's a different issue. And the culture also comes in, we've seen that this whole past year and a half. Is it about you? Is it about others? Culture-wise, apparently a lot of companies are now giving bonuses, financial incentives to get vaccinated, right? That's kind of interesting. I have to, bribe you to get a vaccine. And even some states are doing that now. I just heard that this morning. And so, I think that's at the heart of it. There are countries who have said you're not allowed in unless you're vaccinated. The last item is that, speaking now as a historian, as a researcher, we don't know enough about either COVID or the vaccine. I have some friends who are not getting vaccinated, but the reason for that is they're planning to have a child and they don't know what the long-term effect is going to be. We don't know. We have no idea. Maybe it's nothing. So I think that connects everything, that a lot of people feel we don't have enough knowledge. And then the CDC comes out and says, you don't need to wear masks at all. Well, maybe you should wear masks here. Well, actually, if you're vaccinated, well, no vaccine is 100%. And we know that even if you're vaccinated, you can still get the virus, but it'll be just like with the flu, right? You can still get the flu, but it won't be as harsh. Some people who've had COVID-19, who lived through it, survived it, they might not get vaccinated because they're saying, you know what? It was just like a really, really bad flu. I'm not concerned with it. But we don't know what's going to happen if you get it a second or a third time. So I think there's really a lot more information that is needed. And then understanding the culture that you're in. In some countries, you've been wearing masks forever on public transportation. Right. And in others, like this one, it's like, you're not allowing me to breathe. And now you're getting bribed to get a vaccine. It's just very, very interesting to observe how every country handles this.
Now, as I understand it, you're going to be relocating to Europe, to Hamburg over the summer. That's where you're originally from. So what's happening there? Is it the same as the US in terms of confusion?
I think a little bit, but it also depends on who you believe, right? Because news nowadays, they like to focus on one item. It is my understanding that currently there are still some limits in place. For example, not staying out too late at night. And that is all because some people did all of that over Easter and there was an influx. But they have ramped up the vaccinations. I forget the number, but I know last week was like huge. So a lot more people are getting vaccinated. There was also a legal battle going on with whether or not school children can be required to wear masks. So that's a similar issue. I think in some ways, because of the culture, which is more community oriented in Europe in general, there is more of an acceptance of some of the rules, guidelines, and so forth. But there's also a fatigue. People want to be out and about.
So Natalie, I know you have to go to another thing now. And what is your website for the people out here who don't already know how to reach you?
Well, my website is under construction, so don't be scared when you see it. It's natalieforrest.com. But you can reach me, on LinkedIn, on social media. I'm really easy to reach if you've got any questions.
Thanks for being on Global TV again. And please
Thank
come
you.
back and let's continue our dialogue.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ed, and thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Ciao.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.